Yo, what is going on, y'all? Johnny Vance here with FullTiltBike.com, back at you with another video. In the last video, we talked about the Radial Solar carbon fiber rim, and Race walked us through all the specs and features. So if you haven't gotten a chance to check out that video, be sure to do that. Today we're going to be looking at BMX racing chains. We're going to be outlining the specs and features of different models and basically give you a better idea of what to look for in your next racing chain. There's a lot of options out there, from half link to full link and so much more. So let's get right into it and get you all the information you need. All right, so the first thing that you're going to want to keep an eye out for when looking for a chain is basically chain sizing. We're not talking about links or anything like that. We're talking about the physical width of the chain. What that means is different chains are made in different sizes to be compatible with different styles of drivetrains. Basically, what you're going to want to do is match your chain to whatever width your chain ring and cog are. Fortunately, you won't have to worry too much about knowing the correct chain size, because pretty much all BMX race specific chain rings and cogs come in a 3/32 size. Most of the chains that race vendors like us or other ones out there are going to be selling the correct chain size. So definitely something to keep an eye on when shopping for your next BMX race chain. All right, now let's get into some more important stuff. The first thing that we're going to cover is a half link chain versus a full link chain. Let's start with the full link. Generally, when you think of a chain, the image that's going to pop up in your mind is probably going to be a full link. That's going to be a chain like the SRAM PC870 that we have right here. This is a pretty traditional, it's just a normal full link chain. Whereas if you were to look at something like the Shadow Conspiracy half link chain, this one's going to look a little bit different and look a bit more like a specialty race item. So now, what's the difference between the two, aside from looks? They actually serve two different purposes. When it comes to a full link chain, it's an alternating sequence of female and male links, which means if you were to remove one link, you're actually technically removing two links. Because again, you have to be able to match the female and the male side in order to get the proper connection. Now, if you're using something like the SRAM PC870 that uses a master link or a snap lock, when using one of these, you actually have to match up two female sides to be able to connect this chain. Moral of the story, when it comes to a full link chain, you're generally removing two links instead of just one singular link. Now, when it comes to a half link, each individual link of the half link features a male and a female side. The benefit to this is when you want to remove a singular link, you're actually removing one singular link. Now, why would either one of these be that important? Well, this really matters when you're trying to dial in your rear end length. Changing your rear end just by 1/4 of an inch can have a pretty big impact on the way that your bike feels. Because of this is why half links were brought into the game. Since you can remove one singular link with a half link, this means that you get more adjustment within your sliding dropout. A lot of bikes nowadays are going more to a fixed rear end, so it doesn't matter as much. But if you're someone like me who still rides a bike with a traditional sliding dropout, a half link chain is awesome for being able to get your rear end exactly where you want it. Now, with a full link chain, you still have some level of customization, but not as much. So depending on the gearing ratio that you run, you may find your rear end being in a slightly different place. Now let's talk a little bit more about the construction. We understand that a full link chain is a sequence of male and female links alternating to create one full chain, whereas the half link is one singular link that features both sides within that one link. Full links tend to be a bit lighter because of their thinner outer plate construction. When looking at the half link, in order for manufacturers to be able to achieve that male and female side within one link, there has to be a bend in that plate to get it to open up back into the male side. Because of this bend, that outer plate tends to be a little bit thicker than a streamlined full link chain. It's not that much per one individual link, but when you add that up over 100 different links, you're going to see that half links are almost always heavier and a little bit wider than the full link chain. If you take this Shadow Conspiracy chain, for example, it's thick, it's wide, and quite frankly, pretty heavy. Whereas if you take something like the SRAM PC870, this is a much more streamlined chain. It's narrower and a bit lighter. So to wrap this section up, half link chains are going to offer more rear end adjustment, allowing you to really fine tune that rear end. Full link chains are going to be lighter and they're also a bit more common, but you're not going to get that same rear end adjustment that you get with a half link. So the difference differences in chains don't just stop at half link versus full link. There's also other variations too. The next one that we're going to be talking about are hollow pin chains. A hollow pin chain, just as the name suggests, features a hollowed out pin. The pin is the connection point between each link. While the pins are hollowed out, there's also cutouts within each of the outer plates to save yourself even more weight. It's pretty common to see a hollow pin chain on a rider who weighs a little bit less than 100 pounds. The reason for this is because a lot of these hollow pin chains tend to have weight limits. Since the chain is focused solely on saving as much weight as possible, they're not capable of handling the same amount of torque as, say, a Shadow Conspiracy chain. However, not all hollow pin chains have a weight limit, and some of them are ran by top-level elite racers. You could even look at the World Champs this past weekend, and there were a couple guys in the main event that were running hollow pin chains. If you're someone who weighs less than 100 pounds, or if you're really not putting out that much torque, then this is just going to be a lighter option for you, and you don't really have that much to worry about. But we don't suggest heavier riders or someone with a high level of torque to run hollow pin chains. You could probably get away with it, but in our personal opinion, we would just say get yourself a solid pin chain and call it a day. So for anybody looking to save even more weight than before, a hollow pin is a great place to start. Now, obviously they make hollow pin configurations in both full link and half link, and the same deal applies there. More rear end adjustment with the half link, a lighter chain with the full link. So now let's kind of wrap this up with some more personal opinions. Which is better, a half link, full link, hollow pin, solid pin? At the end of the day, there's no chain that's better than the other. It's more about which one suits your needs. For me personally, I'm a big fan of the Shadow Conspiracy chain. If you can't tell already, I just really enjoy the rear end adjustment that I get with a half link. And I've also found these to be extremely strong chains that I just kind of set it and forget it. I don't really have to worry about watching chain stretch or anything like that. I'm a big fan of how it looks. It's very easy to install, and I've never had any issues with it. So for those reasons, that's why it's my personal favorite. But at the end of the day, it's gonna come down to which one you prefer. Remember, full links are still very good too. They're lightweight, and they're also really convenient with the different connecting styles that they have. So to wrap this whole thing up, which one's better? I don't know. Depends on which one you like more. Why don't you let us know down in the comments below which chain you're running and which one you're interested in looking into. Be sure to leave any questions. We'd love to hear from you, but that's all that I have for today. Make sure to head over to fulltiltbikeco.com for all of your BMX racing needs. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. And obviously I've got to say it, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, but that's all for me. See ya.